If you're in business or if you're planning to become an entrepreneur, you're going to enjoy today's episode of the Michael Yardney podcast. Remember, in between the regular shows, once a month, I conduct a Build a Business, Not a Job podcast with my business partner, Mark Creedon. And today I've asked him, what are the things that your clients have done that make you as a business coach cringe over the years? And you'll be surprised with some of the things he's said. You see, I've learned over the years the benefit of having mentors, having mastermind groups I'm part of, having tribes that understand what I'm doing, having a business coach. The business coach has been the big one. These things have all increased my success and made my journey easier, because the journey as a business person, the journey as an entrepreneur, the journey as a property investor isn't easy. It is hard. Things do go wrong. So anyway, what I was starting to say is that I've found having a business coach one of the most transformational changes that has helped my business grow successfully. So I asked Mark, well, you've seen lots of people. What are the things that have made you cringe? What do you want to teach us? And that's what we're going to discuss today in today's Build a Business, Not a Job podcast. So welcome to this episode.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's most trusted property commentator, who has once again been voted Australia's leading property investment advisor. That's the fifth time he's won a similar award in the last 7 years.
If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or in a professional practice, today's podcast is for you, because I'm going to peek behind the curtain at one of Australia's most successful business coaches so you can learn the secrets of success from his successful clients, and hopefully you're going to avoid making some of the mistakes his, not so successful clients make. Today I'm speaking with founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind, Mark Creedon. Welcome, Mark.
Hello, Michael.
Now, we run these Build a Business, Not a Job podcasts once a month in between my regular Michael Yardney podcasts. And Mark, as you're a good friend, and let's be blunt, you're my business partner in Business Accelerator Mastermind, I know you've coached thousands of business owners over the past decade. And I know you've seen some small businesses blossom. We've discussed the stories, and you've seen others grow quite large companies. We've also seen businesses scale their business and sell them for a lot more. But to an outsider, that sounds like a sexy job, an exciting job. You go in, you spend time with people, you see some of their businesses grow well. But I remember you telling me there's a few things that trouble you, that keep you awake at night. Maybe you could share those with me.
Yeah, Michael, there is. And look, you're right. It is actually an exciting job. It's something that I love doing, obviously. But I think there's a couple of things that really, if you like, sort of make me cringe. And the first thing I often hear from people, Michael, is I'm too busy. So I'm too busy to get coaching. I can't take time out. I need to keep working in my business.
That's not uncommon. We all just don't seem to have enough time, Mark.
Yeah, time is it's a rare commodity, isn't it? But it's not about how much time you have, Michael, as you know. It's about what you do with the time. It's about how you spend the time. And in fact, can I just share a quick story with you, please?
Yeah, that'd be good.
So I was working with a senior equity partner in a national law firm in Australia, and she was charging out at $1,000 an hour. Now, as you would know, Michael, in order to sort of be able to bill 6 or 7 hours a week, you actually need to be working 10 or 12 hours a day. And that's exactly what she was doing. And she said to me, Mark, I'm already working 12 hours a day. I can't take time out to spend time coaching with you. But in fact, what we did by forcing her to take that time, by making sure that she was focusing on the highest and best use of her time, and in fact, really empowering her team, properly delegating, she was able to then focus on what she was very good at, which was bringing new clients on. She picked up a major mergers and acquisition client. And as a result, Michael, she was actually able to charge her and a team out at $15,000 a day, rather than the $6,000 or $7,000, and she reduced her work hours to around about 6 or 7. So she went down in her work hours by 25%, yet doubled the revenue she was bringing into the practice.
I get what you're saying, because many of the things we're doing, we're busy doing, we're preoccupied doing, just aren't that valuable. And we discussed that a while ago in one of our previous podcasts about time management. We discussed it at Wealth Retreat when we explained to people that when they put a dollar value on each hour they spend, that they've got to be spending time on A activities and really learning, improving, having coaching, having mentors, improving yourself is, at least, if not an A, at least a B activity, and not the C and D activities that seem to be other people's urgencies. You keep getting sucked into what other people seem to want you to do.
Oh, you do. It's one of the things I say about emails, Michael. Really, your email inbox is just somebody else's list of priorities. So it is, I mean, what I see often is people spending time being busy, but they're busy being busy. Doesn't mean they're busy doing the valuable things in the business, the things that are actually going to help them to scale their business, take their business to that next level, and really to get the time, the money, the freedom, the reasons why you went into business for yourself in the first place. So it's not that you don't have the time, it's that you don't have the right habits, you don't have the right structure, and you don't have the ability perhaps to be able to say no to the things that you shouldn't be doing. And that's certainly, what I've seen with people, and they're the things I've been able to help them with as a coach.
So one of the things that makes you cringe, so to speak, is when people say, I'm too busy, because deep down they're really not. What else keeps you awake at night?
Well, this is an interesting one because I know that clients lie to me, Michael. They lie to me.
Really?
They do.
I can't understand that.
The interesting thing about that, and I often say this, look, it's okay if you want to lie to me. What you have to realize is that by lying to me, you're actually lying to yourself. So, what people do is they often they want to put their best foot forward. So when they come into the mastermind sessions, they talk about what's going on in their business, and we take out, we prepare a game plan or an action plan for them. They want to put their best foot forward. But the reality is that if they don't tell me truly what's happening, then I can't help them. So it's the old, can't fix what I don't know.
I guess what you said a moment ago is the truth. It's actually not just lying to you. We tend to lie to ourselves. Others can see it from the outside much easier, can't they?
Yeah, they can. I guess the interesting thing is that people often in business, Michael, we talk about having a strategy, and one of the first things we do is sit down and create a strategy plan for them so that they get that level of clarity. But often people talk about having a strategy, and when you dig a little bit deeper, you find that what they've got is kind of either a superficial strategy or it's just a strategy on paper. In other words, maybe a strategic direction, but not actually a strategic plan. And I guess the other really interesting thing, so therefore what happens is they have this strategy in their mind, or they rarely might have it documented, but then there's a chasm, if you like, between what that strategy is and what's actually happening in their business. And so that's the way that they're kind of lying to themselves. So that what they present to me is the strategy. And if I didn't scratch the surface and dig a bit deeper, I think things were running along really well and it was a fantastic business. When you scratch a bit further, you find the strategy is what's on the surface. What's happening in the business is something quite different. And the other way that we often find that out, Michael, is when you speak to key people in the business, and either one of two things happen. Either they have no idea what the business owner's strategy is, or they're aware of it, don't like it, and don't operate it under it anyway. So when we sit down with clients, they do sometimes lie. I don't think they mean to lie. They're just putting their best foot forward. But the thing I always say is that if you're lying to me, the reality is you're lying to yourself, and having your strategy as the best kept secret in your business is just an unwise move.
Well, talking about strategy, clearly most people, I guess, know what they want to achieve in business, but they haven't dug deep enough. So having a game plan, having a list of dot points, having a list of things you want to achieve, that alone isn't a strategy. You need to go much deeper. And most people don't have the time to do it. I guess that's where an outsider can see that and see their blind spots.
Yeah, they say they don't have the time, but I mean, the old story about having to take the time to sharpen the axe or sharpen the saw. And I was having this conversation with somebody just yesterday, in fact, about that very point. And you see people go, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I'm busy. And yet as an outsider, you can see massive opportunities in their business that they're not taking advantage of. And often, Michael, massive opportunities, actually within their business. So not about their business, but within their business in terms of their team. There are things that they could be delegating. There are people that they could be relying on. There are ways that they could scale their business, but they sort of want to do everything themselves. And they think that's the only way about achieving the level of success they're looking for.
Well, I think one of the reasons of my business success at Metropole is I've always had business coaches, and I guess for almost a decade now, and that keeps me accountable. It keeps me honest to myself. It allows me to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's one of the things I found a lot of business people have problems with. They feel isolated. They don't have anyone to share with. So you said that they sort of lie to you and lie to them. They should feel okay to talk about the things that don't work out.
Well, that's right. And the other thing too to keep in mind is even people who are incredibly successful in what they do still need that opportunity to bounce something around off somebody. And, Michael, you rang me yesterday morning with a very small question, but it was just something you just needed to get that objective viewpoint on. We bounced it around for 5 or 10 minutes and you did what you were probably always going to do, but it just gave you the opportunity to make sure that there weren't any blind spots there.
Exactly. And so that's, I guess, the benefit of having a coach or being part of a mastermind group. And that's one of the lessons I learned way back from reading Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, that successful people are part of a mastermind group because together as a group, you think much, much better. One of the things that we always recommend and we use internally at Metropole. Tell me one more thing that gets you, annoys you, frustrates you when you see clients.
Yeah, the other thing is sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, Mark, you just don't get it, or you don't understand," or the other one, and you'll recognise this one. It's different in our industry, or
yes,
yeah, or it's different in our location. So the thing is that can I tell you I do get it, I do understand it. Regardless of the industry, generally speaking, the principles remain the same. And in most cases, I've been there. I've walked in those shoes. I've understood that. I mean, my story, Michael. You know that I've been there, and I've thought I had to do everything myself, and I had to find a better way of doing it, which is what brought me to creating this program, so that we can help people to not make mistakes that I made, and not make mistakes that lots of other people make in business, in thinking that they need to do everything themselves. So, I'm not, as a coach, I never expect anything of my clients that I haven't done myself, or that I wouldn't be able to do, or, it's that sort of, eating your own cooking saying, I think is probably a nice way of putting it.
That's a really good point, Mark, because if I wanted to have a marriage counsellor, and I don't need one, but if I did, I'd want one who'd be the happiest person who actually has a good marriage, not one who's not been successful in what they're doing or teaching. And so there's so many business coaches, mentoring programs, mastermind programs out there that are run by people who've only ever been successful in selling people concepts and ideas rather than running a real business. That's one of the things that makes me cringe.
Yeah, and one of the things, if we look at the flip side of cringing, one of the things that sort of gives me a buzz is, and I did this yesterday. We had a live coaching session yesterday, and some of the people in our mastermind group, Michael, and that they are incredibly successful people who have great businesses. They have very high net worth. But to be able to just point out small things for them that they can then shoot a message that says, "Hey, Mark, thanks for that. That's really saved me an enormous amount," or "That's something I hadn't thought of," or "I missed that in my planning process." The opposite of making me cringe, they're the things that really give me a buzz. So I guess the end is, I hear, "Mark, you don't get it." The reality is I do.
Well, just following on from what you said, a lot of successful business people are almost there. They don't need all the answers. And that's why they sometimes think they don't need a coach or they don't need to be part of a mastermind, because they got a lot of information. But that last little bit of information, the tidbit that you just mentioned a moment ago, is like clicking over that last thing in the combination lock. That's all you need. And then it opens up a Pandora's box. Is that Pandora's box a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure, Mark. It opens up a whole opportunity of good stuff.
Yeah, do you know, Michael, I did a game plan with somebody new into the program just yesterday. And there was one thing, and it was a video call, and he just looked at me blankly for a few seconds and he said, "Oh my God, that's so simple. Now that you say it, it's so simple. I can't believe that I didn't think about it. But it's so simple now, and I can see how that's going to save me, at least probably 10% of my time and give me more productive time back." So it's often just those little tidbits, those little things that you see that remove those blind spots.
Well, actually, before we get on to the next point, I'd like you to share with me about what business owners do that makes a business coach cringe. You mentioned a few times about Mastermind. You mentioned a little bit about what you do with clients. So let's give our listeners an understanding what Business Accelerator Mastermind is so that they know what we're really talking about, because to them, they may not even get it.
So, Michael, Business Accelerator Mastermind is a coaching program that I've developed as a result of my 15 odd years in business coaching and my experience prior to that in business. And it's a nice hybrid program, Michael, because it has this nice mix of personal one-on-one access to me, of group access, so you get to learn not just from me but from the other people in Mastermind, and also a group of experts. And obviously I've got you as my business partner now, so people have access to your incredible knowledge and skills and experience, might I say, because we've all got a few grey hairs, Michael, so we've got some experiences as well as the knowledge. So there's that nice hybrid, if you like, between one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and then spending time together as a mastermind as well. So as you know, under the program, 3 times a year, we get together, we get our clients together, all in a room, leave the superhero capes at the door, and we work intently across a day on your business. And the thing that I really love about Mastermind is that it's all very practical. It's not designed to be theory. It's practical. It's stuff that you can do, you can pick up, and you can apply in your business tomorrow to actually make a difference.
So that's exciting. You can find out more about it at metropolemastermind.com.au. There'll be a link in the show notes. Now, Mark, we were talking about the things that make business coaches cringe, and you've seen it all. You've discussed a couple. Tell me one more.
This is in some ways kind of the number one thing, and that is that sometimes I think clients don't realize how much we care. So what motivates me, and you may remember, Michael, when you and I first met, you actually asked me this question. You said, Mark, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What is it that makes you love to do what you do? Because I made the comment, I love what I do. And for me, what motivates me, what does actually get me out of bed in the morning is seeing my clients achieve their goals, seeing them achieve the success they're looking for, and whatever it is that they want in their business, whether it's more time, whether it's more money, whether it's more freedom, or whether it's a lovely combination of all three. That's actually what motivates me. So I'm kind of out there rooting for their success. I'm the champion of the cheer squad, and just understanding that really is what gets me going, and knowing that I'm being able to help people to achieve that is a massive buzz for me.
Well, I think part of it is we do need some positive people around us, because the day is full of challenges and full of problems. And I remember years ago, as my business coach, you taught me, Michael, that's your job. That's your job, to solve problems. If other people could do what you're doing, they'd be the boss. And I know that was a little sentence like that was a total flip in my understanding of coming to work now. Okay, so what are the challenges today? What am I going to find? How am I going to solve them? That's the highest and best use of my time. And that's where just having somebody out there, as you said, rooting for you, telling you, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it. Because I think a lot of people go into business, go into professional practice, want to become an entrepreneur and think it's going to be easy. You get all the blogs, you see the things on Instagram, you see the highlight reels, you don't see all the bits on the cutting room floor. Being in business isn't easy. People don't tell you that. It's hard. Being successful as a property investor isn't easy. It's hard. Getting ahead in business when most don't succeed, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough and it's lonely. And I guess that's the thing too, Michael. Not only do I care, and you've seen this yourself, but one of the things I actually love about all the people in our mastermind is that they all care as well. So people sharing each other's success and cheering each other on and going, good on you, that's awesome. And also we had an example the other day where somebody actually popped something up onto our mastermind Facebook tribe, and they asked a question, and before I could get on to answer it, there were half a dozen other people there answering the question and popping videos on. Somebody actually shot a video of them doing something to show the other person in the group how to do something. That's what that's all about. It's I care, but everybody else cares as well.
Well, actually, that's the power of a mastermind. It's not 1 and 1 equals 2 or 10 and 10 equals 20. It's a much bigger mastermind, which was the concept of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And I bet you we go right back to the first thing that you said when we had a chat, when we started this chat. Some people are going to say, hey, this sounds good. I'd like to be involved in this. But you know what then creeps up? I won't have time. When am I going to fit it in?
Yeah, exactly. And that gets back to what we said at the very outset. But it's not about the time that you have. It's about how you use the time. And often I found that if people just make that commitment, have that initial conversation, and, we can often see some breakthroughs very, very quickly. And that's when the sort of the cloud breaks, a bit of blue sky comes, and suddenly the issue around not having time becomes far less of an issue.
I know it has made a big difference to me personally. It's one of the 2 or 3 things I attribute to the successful growth of Metropole from a home office 18 years ago to a national business involved in over $3 billion worth of transactions and 60 staff in 3 capital cities, having a business coach, being part of a mastermind team. I remember my first mastermind was just a group of people getting together at Giorgio's restaurant, which is still there in Corner Glen Ferry Road and High Street, Armidale. Not that I'm giving them an ad. And we used to sit together, a group of people who were in different industries, different businesses, but all keen to move forward and just talking and chatting and supporting each other during those times. And I'm still friends with a number of those people, and it's interesting to see where they've gotten to. If you're tired of wondering how you can grow your business, if you're tired of wondering what's happening, what's the options you've got, if you're frustrated, if you're isolated, if you want a real community, why not join us at Business Accelerator Mastermind? Go to metropolemastermind.com.au and it'll be in the show notes. It's a community if you're a business person. It's a community if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a professional, but if you actually want to increase your business, if you want to elevate your ability, if you're looking to make a massive impact. And it's not just about business, because in Mastermind, I think, Mark, I've noticed you're sort of a life coach at times too. You have to be, don't you?
Well, you do, because if people's life goals aren't matched to their business goals, then we're going to run into trouble at some stage. We're going to cross the streams, and it's not going to work. So
maybe that's where your psychology degree comes in. So your background is with a number of degrees and a number of experiences in business, but that's one of the challenges business owners have. And I know we just discussed that with a couple of people yesterday. Their outside lives affect how they work on their business.
Absolutely. It's impossible. I mean, we're human beings, so we're not automatons. So it's impossible to have a situation where the outside life doesn't impact. So we have to work on both. And the other thing too is that often the strategies that we apply in business actually do work in your private life as well.
Interesting. So again, go to metropolemastermind.com.au. Mark, one final tip to finish off this Build a Business, Not a Job podcast. What do you say to business owners who've hit a roadblock?
I say congratulations, because every business owner's hit a roadblock. And then what we need to do is work out what are the ways around the roadblock, what are the options that are open to you, how can we move past the roadblock? And the other thing is to remember that hitting a roadblock is normal, perfect part of growing a business. It's going to happen. You've got to push through it. So take it as a challenge. Maintain the optimism that business owners have. Sit down with somebody to find a way, and getting that objective viewpoint, Michael, I think is just because often, you and I have had this conversation. I have the ability, being an outsider, to see a way around a roadblock that maybe, you mightn't see, because what's the old saying? You wouldn't see the forest for the trees.
Makes sense. So let's finish off today's podcast, Mark, with a quote from Napoleon Hill. And his English was hard to read. Think and Grow Rich was hard to read. But he said the following: you can accomplish more in a year being involved in a mastermind than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depend entirely on your own efforts for success. So his roundabout way of saying it is, on your own you can probably run faster, but in a group you can run a lot further. Thanks for your time today, Mark.
Good to talk to you, Michael.
I hope you learned something from my chat with Mark. I always have fun talking with him. And if you got some benefit from this Build a Business, Not a Job podcast, why not share it with somebody else, another friend of yours who's in business, an entrepreneur who wants to get in business, because it's a tough life getting into business. There's challenges along the way, and that's why I've always had mentors. I've been part of mastermind groups. I've got a good team of people at Metropole who also share the same mentors and masterminds. They're part of Business Accelerator Mastermind. And if you'd like to be part of it, why not find out a bit more about it at metropolemastermind.com.au. In between these monthly Build a Business, Not a Job podcasts, obviously I'm keeping passing on to you the information about money, property success in my regular Michael Yardney podcasts that come to you twice a week. So I look forward to catching up with you real soon. In the meantime, have a great week. Make it a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropole, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favourite Android app as the Michael Yardney podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success, and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropole to help you?